Good day. I've been asked to talk about a very sensitive subject today, and that's the increasing prevalence of sexual misconduct in our schooling environment. Now, these increasing incidents happen in various forms. This can be between the learner and educator, between learners and learners, as we've seen recently, and between educators themselves. We can speculate regarding the various reasons for this apparent increase in sexual misconduct at schools. One of these could be the increase in the over-sexualization of the information intake we have on a daily basis. An example of this would be the proliferation and ease of access of pornography, especially cell phones at schools. Another factor that could be attributed to this increase is the fact that cases have always been there, but due to the awareness in our society, they're coming to the fore a lot more. This can be seen in our media that seem to latch onto various aspects of sexual misconduct. All of these things culminate in a society that's very sensitive to sexual misconduct, and this is a good thing. Unfortunately, however, it does tend to have a dual effect, or a dual-edged sword, one could say, when it comes to false claims that have very unfortunate outcomes for innocent educators. The court of public opinion has no review or appeal procedure. Individuals branded as sexual predators, whether they're guilty or not, are often ostracized in their communities and in their workplace, and find it very difficult to scrub the taint of the accusation from themselves. There are no hard and fast rules when it comes to this, and over-paranoia can be a problem. But take it for what it is, and you'll notice that many of these practices are already in place in various institutions, and educators practice them as of their nature. Tip number 1. Try not to be alone with the child or the learner. This can be very difficult to achieve because of your status as in loco parentis, but it needs to be managed. Examples of where an unavoidable situation might be is where you wish to chastise a learner for their ill behavior or their poor work performance, but you don't want to necessarily do this in front of their peers. We all know the sentence, "See me after class." Another example would be where a child wishes to come and speak to you in private. This could be to report abuse from another educator. As I state, these situations are unavoidable, but they can be managed. The first and most important thing that I always tell educators are CCTV cameras are your friends. If you're in the fortunate position to have CCTV cameras in your schools, make sure you make full use of them. Know where they are stationed. Know whether or not they're operating or not, know how the procedures are or how they are monitored, and most importantly, when an incident occurs that you are uncomfortable with, make sure it's reported so that the footage can be saved, as most of these systems override within a few days. Another aspect that can be taken into account here is open doors and open windows, where everyone can see into a class. It assists greatly with diminishing the odds of a false accusation. If at all possible, have private conversations in open spaces. This can include hallways or on the sports field, being that out of earshot but within eyesight is always your best option. Another option that you can take into account, and this is not necessarily that helpful at that point in time, but it's to inform one of your colleagues that a learner wishes to have a private discussion with you prior to that effect. This can and might later help and assist you in a disciplinary hearing if you're in that unfortunate position where your evidence can be corroborated by your colleague. Step number 2, avoid overly personal relationship with learners. As educators, you sometimes knowingly or unknowingly become a parental figure to a child. This can be due to the learner's particular circumstances at home or exceptional mentorship shown by the educator. And there is nothing wrong with this. But there is a very fine line between a dedicated educator and an overzealous social worker. An example would be, and this is in the extreme, sleepovers and private outings to the zoo, all those kinds of things are under no circumstances accepted. Follow the official channels that are available to you in circumstances where you think a child needs assistance. Rather follow the official channels that are available when you see a learner is struggling in some aspect of their personal life. And if you want to be active in your community, I'm sure there are various NGOs working in your area that you can join, or if not, you might be able to establish one. Just make sure that everything is above board and not in your private capacity. Excessive meddling in the lives of a learner can lead to a minefield. Please remember your SACE Code of Ethics. If you don't remember it, you can find it on the SACE website. It's always good to just run through it again and make sure you are fully abreast of what is expected of you as a professional. We acknowledge the importance of Section 28 of the Constitution, which relates to the rights of the child, but an educator can never take over the position of a parent or a legal guardian. Avoid giving learners special treatment. The more one is seen working with one particular learner or giving them special treatment, the easier it becomes for rumors and false accusations to take hold. Step number 3, treat schools as the public spaces that most of them are. Places where everyone can see are most unlikely to be used for nefarious purposes. Once again, embrace CCTV cameras. Make sure it is easy to see into your classroom. This has a dual purpose where if an incident happens, people can easier and more readily come to assist you. And if the unlikely event occurs where you are charged, there is a greater possibility of finding and using witnesses. Avoid closed doors, not only in your classroom, but also in the administrative block or anywhere really where a learner and you are alone in a room. Storerooms are a very great example of this. Point number 4. Avoid physical and verbal displays of affections towards learners. A well-timed hug can save a child, but a bad habit can land you in hot water. Not every learner is comfortable with physical contact, and more often than not, they won't let you know this before it's too late. Likewise, verbal affection. Avoid terms that can be construed as sexual in nature. An example would be, don't ever compliment a learner's legs. Whether they're athletic or have a nice tattoo on them, just don't do it. The same goes for your colleagues. A joke to one person is very likely to be sexual harassment to another. So in short, protect yourself, check your habits, and ensure that you have a long and fulfilling educational career free of any unnecessary procedures. But what happens if there is claims against you? If a child makes an allegation, the teacher, parent or person to whom the allegation has been made have a legal obligation to report such allegation to the authorities. Failing to do so can have them facing criminal charges. Where an allegation is serious in nature, and this includes rape, sexual assault or the possession of child pornography, it is very likely that such an educator will be arrested shortly after the claims are made. In the event that you have some form of forewarning or you suspect that a claim of this nature is headed your way, it is always advisable to procure legal counsel beforehand and apprise them fully of the situation. It always helps to have an action plan in place. More often than not, a person who is arrested is not guaranteed access to their cell phone. Your loved one should know who to contact when you are arrested. Criminal matters aside, because it can happen where the police or the prosecutors find that there's a lack of evidence to proceed, this does not necessarily mean that the department, your employer, will not proceed and send you a charge sheet. Now, when you receive a charge sheet, there is only one step you really need to remember, and that is to keep calm and phone your union. Do not try to defend yourself on the spot or try and run around and do your own investigation to the claims against you. Now is the time for a level head. Resist the urge to follow your emotions and make statements that can be used against you at a later stage. Your union will assist you in this matter and guide you through the process. At a later stage, we'll have a look at the various procedures that can be implemented against you, these being criminal, departmental or your employer, and then SACE. But for now, I think try and implement some of these practices. Don't need to do it overnight, but it is always good to take them step by step. And remember, protect yourself, protect your own rights, and when in doubt, phone your union. Thank you.